The views and opinions of the guests and the hosts you hear on Mixstation Radio Live are not necessarily those of the staff and the management of Mixstation Radio Live, its sponsors, or advertisers.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to RUM TV, episode 49. It's your girl, Cortese, and your boy,
Chris.
And we back like we never left. Who said something?
Chooser.
Oh, what's up, Chooser? Alright, guys, so we have an interesting show tonight, guys. We have Mr. Officer D, guys. Let's give him a hand clap.
Round of applause for Officer D.
Officer D. Alright, guys, so as you guys can see, we are doing a Zoom meeting for this episode. We're going to be getting Officer D's viewpoint on Black Lives Matter,
social injustice,
police
brutality.
Yes, you name it. And of course, Officer D, you know, anything that you do not want to answer or cannot answer, you are more than welcome to say skip Jack. Okay? That's all you. Can you hear us okay? Okay.
Can we actually warm our audience up? Can you tell me just a little bit about what it's actually like being a police officer? I'm pretty sure you're a police officer here in Baltimore, correct?
No.
Okay. What is your jurisdiction?
I work in Southern Maryland.
Southern Maryland, okay. So what is it like to be a police officer in Southern Maryland?
I imagine that it's not too different from being a police officer in Maryland. Being a police officer, in Baltimore, being a police officer is being a police officer. Police officers are viewed as one, unfortunately, but that's the view that you get when you're a police officer.
And so when you say you're viewed as one, it doesn't matter what jurisdiction you're under, what city, what state, is all the same because y'all wear a uniform and your job is to protect and serve.
Exactly.
Okay. So
it's just like a firefighter. You see a firefighter out, you don't say, oh, that's a Baltimore firefighter, or, that's a DC firefighter. You see a firefighter.
Right, and I can agree with that, but then it also kind of paints the picture and the narrative that goes along with, unfortunately, the stereotype between, everybody who thinks that all cops are bad, there's no such thing as a good cop, and etc.
That's why I said unfortunately.
Gotcha, okay. So, I guess I want to start by asking, well, on, what is this, May 25th? That was the day that George Floyd died? When that happened, what was your initial reaction when you saw what happened in that instance?
We can talk freely here, right?
Yeah, we can talk freely.
We can't be
on TV, baby. You can talk.
If we can't be raw, then we can't be real.
Say what's on your mind, man.
My first initial thoughts of that was it was fucked up.
Okay. We appreciate that.
Okay, so what would have been the proper response by the officers, in tandem with what happened in the beginning and, the story that I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they stopped George Floyd because the store manager said that he tried to use a counterfeit bill.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the narrative.
Okay, and so as a police officer, when you try to stop, someone or a pedestrian, for that instance, what's the proper protocol? From beginning to end.
Well, you can't say what's the proper protocol from beginning to end because every situation is different. Mm-hmm. They might say you stole something. You might actually stop and talk to me because all I'm trying to do is get your perspective of what happened. Because there's three sides to every story. It's their story, your side, and then it's their lie. So I'm trying to get your perspective. But if you go off and you're not cooperating, then that changes the whole narrative of the whole interaction.
So I guess the question is, where in your mind did the police go wrong during that arrest?
I can't say whether it went wrong or right. However, I say that if that was my scene, I think that the officer that asked, should we roll him over, probably would have been the correct direction to go in.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't really hear you.
There was a young officer, one of the guys, he was just out of the academy. Like, he had probably a couple of days on, and he said, shouldn't we roll him over? And the other officer told him, no, we're going to leave him right where he's at.
The officer who... I apologize.
There was one officer there that said, shouldn't we roll him over? Because there's this thing called positional asphyxiation. So what happens is, you have a person who may be hyped up on drugs, right?
Okay.
After you fight with that person, right, and you're fighting with them, and you go to get them in custody. Most time when you fighting with the police or whatever, that the end result is you're gonna be laying on your stomach in handcuffs, most of the time. Well, if you're hyped up on drugs or whatever like that, then you develop this thing where your heart starts racing and you can't breathe, and it's official positional of it. It's a hard word to pronounce, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Positional asphyxiation.
Okay.
You're supposed to put a person in a recovery position, which land on their side, one leg straight, one knee up, one hand across your body. That's probably what they should have done.
And that would have given him the ability to continue breathing so that they could have prevented him from suffocating and dying.
I'm not saying that would have given him the ability, but probably give him a better chance.
Okay.
Okay. So if it came to pass and someone told you that someone basically had a fake bill, okay, and it could be a lie, it may be a lie, but it's coming to you as an officer, and this man is telling the truth that his bill is not fake, but he's loud and he's rowdy and he's in the police officer's face because he's upset that he's being accused of something. Would you automatically arrest him because of his behavior, or is this something that you would just back off because it's like, okay, I don't even want to get involved with this, he acting all crazy, like this ain't even my scene? What would you do?
Well, as the police, you're never going to back off. I mean, it's your job to enforce the law, so why would you back off? However, if this person is ranting and raving, now you're crossing different lines of different laws. And that's one thing that people don't understand. Like, if I'm coming to you as a police officer and I'm saying, look, let me talk to you real quick, and you are ranting and raving, and now I got other people who's walking down the street, stop and looking at, well, now you've been disordered. That's another crime. You just adding on to the problem. Stop. There's no, look, I understand that everybody's upset with the police. Nobody likes the police. It's cool. Feel how you feel. But just because you feel that way, stop, had a conversation, and then nothing comes from it. They'll look at the bill, examine it. Oh, you were good. Have a good day. But once you start crossing other lines, then they go from, oh, you possibly had a fake bill. Now you're disorderly. You know what I'm saying? Now you're disturbing the peace. Those are other crimes.
I see that. And I also see acting out and disorderly could lead to other things, unfortunately, but it happens. So, I mean, I definitely agree. I think you should just, abide by the rules. You know what I'm saying? You work your mouthpiece and talk about it.
Well, let me ask you this, because in an instance where, and I'm not specifying this to you, but if there's a police officer who is not doing his job and who is being discriminative towards a civilian, what is the civilians out, or what are they supposed to do in that situation when they are being discriminated against? And why are you laughing?
Well,
No, I'm looking at
I'm sorry.
What would you describe as being discriminated against?
Okay, for instance, you get pulled over. Say you were legitimately going, 12 miles over the speed limit. You get pulled over. Police officer asks you to get out of your car. Next thing you know, another police officer shows up and they searching your car, and they got you on the ground and they using excessive force. In a situation where now that maybe
that escalated quickly. How do we go from going 12 miles over the speed limit to getting out of your car?
Well, I would have to put together a specific example to state that that's what happened. What I'm saying is, though, if in an instance that the police officer's in the wrong, and like what we saw with George Floyd, I mean, I would like to ask you, why was George Floyd in the back seat of the vehicle, and then they removed him from the back seat of the vehicle and have him on the ground?
Well, from my understanding of that situation, and correct me if I'm wrong, because that was a little while ago, and I haven't looked at it since it came out. George Floyd ingested some kind of narcotic when they first stopped him. He got into the vehicle, which he was fighting in the back of the vehicle. That's why they got him out. And that is common practice, because when you put people in the back of the vehicle that's fighting, normally they try to kick the windows out and all kinds of stuff, you know. So they pulled him out, and I believe they was asking for a van or ambulance to transport him. As from what I remember from my little bit of research on that situation.
Okay. So that's information that we did not know. But the escalation of those policies and procedure led to him dying. So who is to blame for that incident?
I couldn't tell you who's to blame for that. I mean, could it be the police for sitting on his neck after he ingested narcotics and then fighting with you? Because that the positional asphyxiation is normally a cause of ingesting a narcotic. It's like fighting somebody on PCP. You know, they ingested that narcotic. From my research on that incident, he ingested a baddie or something like that. It wasn't something that he had already smoked somebody. When they came up on him, he ingested it. That's from my little bit of research. Somebody may have saw something different. I don't know. But that's from what I've seen, you know. So you got to wait for the ME to say who's at fault for it. And like I said, I haven't followed up on it since the incident, so I don't know if they came out with an ME report or anything like that.
We're not asking you to be an expert, don't get me wrong, but we would love for, you know, ourselves and our audience to be able to hear the police's perspective of how it should be handled, or what your opinion is on that situation. And to be honest with you, you're giving us a lot of insight on things that we did not know.
So thank you for that.
Okay, so
I do feel like that could have been, in my opinion, I feel like it could have been prevented had he just, you know, did what he's supposed to do. But sometimes people not going to flow the way they're supposed to when they're doing something they're not supposed to.
But I think that, to piggyback on what you're saying, because I don't disagree with you, I think that in the eyes of the law, a police officer has to understand that the people, when you're being detained or you're being arrested, somebody's not always going to do exactly what you're told. So we need a policy and procedure to allow the person being detained to live through you successfully detaining them. Now, in any instance,
you successfully detaining them.
I know I'm asking for a lot here, so let me kind of elaborate on what I'm saying. I'm not telling you, you know, if he's trying to kill you, because I don't necessarily believe George Floyd was trying to kill the officer. But if he
was actively resisting.
Say that again?
Actively resisting.
Correct.
Okay, so what we have is, like, a lot of departments, and I think some of them have gone away from it, this thing called use of force continuum, right?
Okay.
Use of force continuum says that merely if there's a crowd, you get a call for a crowd gathering, and the police show up. The mere police presence is the first level of use of force continuum. And that's saying the police are there, they probably don't see police, they're going to roll out, right? And then, you know, it goes from there. So there is steps in place, and when you come to using force and stuff like that, but when you got somebody that's actively resisting, you have to do what you have to do to keep yourself safe and also take that person in custody. You can't just say, okay, well, he's fighting, so I'm going to let him go. I mean, nobody at the time, remember, police are judged on what they know at the time of the incident. Them guys didn't know that he ingested whatever he ingested, and it was going to be, you know, positional asphyxiation type thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can understand that, but kneeling on his neck and killing him, I think that to some degree, an officer had to know that when you're putting... You know, that officer had to weigh over 200 pounds. He's putting his full body weight on a man's neck. You don't think that's going to kill him or do something past detaining him?
I understand what you're saying. I understand, but like I said, they didn't know. And actually, when you say, okay, he's hitting, 200 pounds on his neck, was it actually 200 pounds when you think about it? He got one knee on his neck, right? Okay. So, and he's putting force on it, but his whole weight body is not on his neck, It's some weight on it, and that's probably going to be a pain compliance type thing. I guess in his mind, probably what he was thinking. I'm not sure, because I can't say what was going through his mind at that time. But I'm thinking he probably thinking, okay, pain compliance is going to make him stop doing what he was doing. But I have no clue because I'm not that guy. I don't know what he was thinking.
I just would love to know what was the purpose of sticking your knee on his neck and putting any amount of weight on it. I honestly believe the 60 pounds would have been enough to kill him.
You asking Officer D like he was the one that did it.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, from an officer's perspective, what would be the purpose of doing that?
What I will tell you is where the head goes, the body goes. Right? So if you got his head pinned to the ground, then his body goes to the ground. And his body is not going to really move like that because where his head is, his body goes. Mm-hmm. It's a defensive tactics type thing. I'm not sure. That guy had been on for, 20-something years, I think. I don't know if that was they were teaching that back in the day or what, but I couldn't tell you.
Listen, I want to ask my
All I can tell you is I'm not pitting my 160 pounds on nobody.
We hear you, Officer D. We hear you, Officer D.
Unfortunately, you are not every police officer in America.
So we thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
But I want to ask you, is it fair for U.S. citizens to hold police officers to a higher standard?
Absolutely. The government holds us to a higher standard.
So what would have been a fair punishment in your mind for using excessive force on any civilian, or detainee?
What would be the fair punishment?
Correct.
Well, excessive force can go from many levels. That can go from blacking somebody's eyes to killing them. So that's a wide perspective.
So in the perspective of George Floyd, because he lost his life, what is a fair punishment for the 4 officers involved in detaining him?
Well, let me go check the mailbox because I haven't gotten my jury summons yet. I'm not the judge or the jury, man.
Okay, I guess my question is, and this is more so questions that we've seen from our audience, and everybody wants to give an opinion of what is fair, different states. Do states still have the death penalty?
The death penalty?
Some do.
Okay.
Maryland doesn't, but some does.
Okay, so let me ask you, do you feel like that is a limited or a substantial exercise for the state of Maryland? For police officers?
I'm sorry. So you asking me, should they have the death penalty for police officers?
Correct. Is the death penalty appropriate for a police officer who, kills an American citizen?
Well, in the state where they live, the death penalty is there, then sure. They hold the citizens to that accountability. But in Maryland, we don't have the death penalty. So why would you hold a police officer to death penalty if a citizen is not held accountable to that?
Because
you're saying it's a higher standard? No. I don't believe that higher standard is there, no.
But in the beginning of this conversation,
I understand what you're saying. I know where you're going with it. No,
we stated that we look at all police officers the same.
Nah, no. If you're gonna tell me, okay, a police officer goes out here and steals something, right? Mm-hmm. And you say, okay, the penalty for theft, is a year in jail. Let's say that. Should a police officer get a year and a day? Okay, I'll go with you. But to say, okay, because he killed somebody in the line of duty, right, trying to protect other people, no, I don't think they should lose their life for that.
Well, I wouldn't say they killed him in the line of duty protecting someone, because I don't know that those officers was necessarily protecting someone. And I understand what you're saying. I guess my question
trying to uphold the law too. So let's go with trying to protect somebody, uphold the law in that situation.
In that situation, no, I don't believe you should receive the death penalty either.
Oh wow!
But I do believe that there should have been an elevated punishment for the officers involved in the murder of George Floyd. Not
Have
necessarily.
They been punished yet?
Well, no,
I don't believe they haven't gone to trial yet, so we can't say if their punishment is going to be higher or lesser.
But the entire effect that it took so long to even arrest them, and then one of the guys wasn't suspended immediately, if I'm not correct.
But we're on that, and we're not talking about the fact that Breonna Taylor, she didn't even do anything. You know,
actually,
Officer D, how would you have handled that?
I am limited on I didn't look that one up as much.
Okay.
I know there was something about a boyfriend who was involved in some illegal activity. There was some kind of search warrant done.
Mm-hmm.
There was some exchange of gunfire, and she was shot.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that police are accountable for every round that they disperse, and that's where I'm going to go with that. And we're going to skip Jack on that one because I'm limited. I can't really even expound on that one.
That's fine. That's okay. But Chris, you think you have more? Well, do you have more information about the Breonna Taylor situation?
Not more than that.
Okay.
Because I really, it doesn't really matter how you slice it. When we get into more details about it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be able to give you anything substantial from what I've learned about it. What I learned is pretty much what he said. She was in the house, and they were doing a search warrant for, if I'm not mistaken, it was a weapon that her boyfriend had. Mm-hmm. When they entered, gunfire went on them. They returned gunfire. She got killed between that battle.
And there was something about they tracked the address from another address or something like that, and that does happen. And this is one thing that I will tell your viewers right now, because I found myself in that same kind of search warrant before, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you get your packages in the mail and you take your merchandise out of that box, scratch your name and your address off of that box. That sticker, take it off.
Right.
Because what they do is they go through the trash and they get your name, they get your address, and they send their drugs to your address and they try to get it before you get home.
Okay.
So that's a little tidbit that y'all, hold in the back of y'all mind.
Right, y'all. So when y'all get packages in the mail, Officer D suggests that you take your address and your name off of that label that is on the box or the envelope or whatever. Take your information off because you can be tracked. Some people will go through the trash. They don't have no cut cards. They don't care. They're going to come looking for you. What you about to say, Chris?
So I actually, a few months ago, last year, when we were I played a video.
I can't get you out a ticket.
No.
He can't get you out of ticket.
I wouldn't ask you to do that.
I would.
Cortez, slow down. Okay. No, a few months ago, I played a video for our audience and for my guests here on the show where there was a recorded incident of a police officer entering a family's home. We don't exactly know what the reason for him entering. All we know is in the video, he enters the home after she leaves the door cracked from smoking a cigarette. There's an altercation that does not become physical, but the lady stops the officer at her front door and stands in his way, trying to forbid him from entering further than she is. And it's just a verbal altercation. And so the question that I had and that my audience had was the young woman wrong for standing up or standing her ground to a police officer at her front door?
Well, I don't know. I don't know the details. I couldn't tell you. However, I will tell you this. Let's say hypothetically that officer had a call for service there. Somebody next door called and said that they heard some woman getting beat. The police officer has a duty to come and make sure that woman is safe and nobody's getting harmed there. So I don't know the details of that, so I can't speak on it, but and I can't expound on it. But if that was the case, where they had a call for service of somebody, some type of violence, somebody getting hurt, then absolutely they had all rights to, come in the house and make sure everybody was all right.
So we're saying hypothetically that happened that way.
Right. But if you're telling me, look, she smoked a cigarette and left the door cracked, and this came to the door, I don't know.
Right.
Maybe they got a call and this happens all the time. Maybe the neighbor called and said, hey, my neighbor door was open. It's never open like that. And
Mm-hmm.
they can't make sure nobody wasn't burglarizing me. Maybe they were doing a welfare check. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Right. So in an instance where a neighbor called because something, Lord forbid, a woman was being beat next door, and then the officer come trying to check on her to make sure she good, and she all loud and rowdy, get out my house, she got her cigarette, get out my house, don't, like, they gonna be like, well, dang, I see why, like, I will help you now. Well, hopefully they don't say that, but.
Well, no, they ain't gonna say that.
But no, like, so they get to the door and she's, acting like that. I mean, like, moving forward.
They may request, to speak to the people that are in the house, just so they can make sure that everybody's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, police officers are peace officers. They're there to keep the peace and make sure everybody's okay.
Okay.
I have the
that.
video.
You had the video?
If you will allow me to play it for you. I know you can't see it, but you can hear the audio of the altercation.
How long is it?
9 minutes.
Jeez,
That's a long time.
I mean, it's up to you.
That's that one video that you showed.
Yeah.
It was that long?
Yeah. But
the girl going
it's
after with the cops?
but it's actually part of it is them
Someone talking about
on
it?
their show. So
Okay.
we can skip to
We can fast forward to her part, and then, I mean,
hopefully her part is 2 minutes.
hopefully it's not even that long.
So you ready? I'm gonna start playing it from here.
There was no altercation.
I don't give a damn what you heard. I don't give a damn what you heard. You understand what I'm saying? No, because this is my home and this is my property, and I'm telling you to leave my home. That's what I'm telling you. This is my house. I pay these people. You crazy? Out your head coming up in my house? You must be crazy coming up in here. Talking about you heard something. You heard me talking. I talk loud and I'm aggressive. And guess what? You did not knock on my door. There's no weapons here. There's nothing going on here. And you are violating my rights, sweetheart. Right. Now, tell me that I'm fucking wrong. You can't, because I'm not wrong. You do not come in my home without my permission. Period.
When I get called,
I don't care what you got.
I don't care.
I don't care what you got. Because guess what? If I had just came in the house and smoking a cigarette, this door would have been closed and your ass would have had to knock. You do not fucking come in my house without my permission. With your white ass, and I'm black, and I'm scared of you. So guess what? I don't care.
Right.
I don't want to hear it.
That's
I don't want to hear it.
That's why you're screaming.
I'm screaming because
So afraid of me.
I'm screaming because you're in my space. This is my home. This is where my kids live. How I know you wasn't coming up here with a fucking gun? Black people killer? How do I know that? I don't. So guess what? I'm aggressive. I'm being hostile, like you guys call us, because you done came up in my home.
Okay, so Officer D, based off of what you heard, you didn't get to hear the whole video, but that snippet, what's your viewpoint on that?
I don't know what his call for service was, so I can't expound on it. I mean, if she's saying, okay, this is her home, he said that he got a call for something. I don't know what his call was, but he got a call for something. So he's just there trying to make sure everything's okay, as far as I can tell.
He said he heard something.
He heard something. He didn't get a call.
Yes,
So
he
he-
said he heard something.
So
He's riding down the street and heard something. I'm walking down the street. I mean, I don't know. Like it's too vague. I can't expound on that.
I understand that.
Right, skip Jack on that.
I love Skipjack. Okay, Officer D, I do want to ask you. So COVID, of course, has come upon us. Children are out of school. A lot of people have lost their jobs. So a lot of people who are being abused are forced to be home with their abusers. A person who's frightened or afraid to speak up and say something's going on or something is wrong, what would you suggest that they do to reach out for help?
Well, if they're in the state of Maryland, it's pretty much the same across the board. If you're being abused, you should probably reach out to the police, make a report. And you don't have to call the police to your home to make that report. You can leave out and go somewhere, call the police, have them come, make a report. In that instance, you probably want to have to go down to your local court commissioner, file for a protective order. If you live with them, ask for a vacate order, which means that person will get out of their home for, until the next court date. And then if they violate that order, then they will probably get a mandatory 90 days in jail. You also want to file charges for assault, if that's your case, you're being assaulted or whatever like that, and then take it from there with the legal system.
Okay, and a child who may be afraid to tell that their parents are abusing them. You know, they only have social media, and they're afraid that it'll get back, and they're being told, if you tell anyone, then I'll kill you or I'll do worse than what I'm doing.
Well, the only problem with that, if it's the child that's trying to, I guess, seek refuge or, you know, tell somebody about it, the only problem with that is you can't help nobody that don't want to help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If you're getting abused, right, and you're the victim, without you coming forward, nobody else can help you. You know, for the most part, you know, unless the police are called there and they see visible signs and they say, okay, then the state's going to take it, we're going to lock this person up on site. So you got a child that say, okay, well, mommy beat daddy up last night or daddy beat mommy up last night. You know, it's really nothing you can do without that victim coming forward.
Okay, so in an instance where, a few years ago, this woman, her husband was abusive to her. They were separated. She started seeing someone else, and she got restraining orders on her husband because, of course, he's upset, he's jealous. You know, that's his wife, and she should be with him and no one else. So she get these protective orders put out on him, and next thing you know, he goes to their house and shoot her, kills her and her boyfriend, you know, while the kids are there. In the instance, like, you know, when they make a report and nothing is being done, what are they to do?
Well, that's a wide perspective, because then you got to think about what were the signs of injury when officers got there. The abuse has to be reported within, 72 hours. There has to be, signs of abuse. So it's different things that goes into the elements of the law when the police show up. So at the end of the day, if I show up and you tell me, oh yeah, he beat me, and your complexion, but you don't have no signs, I mean, what else can I do but fill out a Vines report, which the state has mandated, I think, a couple years ago. That's supposed to be done on each domestic violence report call. So it just goes through and it tells what the signs are, the possibility of you being hurt. It's like an evaluation, and you can talk to a counselor and everything like that. But it's kind of like, we can only do what we can do.
Right.
So that's why when we come to the house and we tell you, we advise you by law, hey, look, go to the court commissioner, file your assault charges. Go to the court commissioner, file for your protective order. You have to do it. Because at the end of the day, what I see most of the time, people are lazy. Okay, you tell me you're being abused, but you want to help yourself. I can't help you if you want to help yourself. I'm telling you, go down. You want this guy out your house? Go file your order, right? Go file your charges. Bring them back once the court commissioner give it to you, if it's granted, and then we'll serve it. Because stuff that's done behind that door, sometimes we can't do nothing about.
Right.
So when we see a situation where we can't handle it because of the things that we can, a certain amount of things that we can actually act on. Like, people think it's because you call the police, we can act on everything. We can't. We're bound by the law. So you have to do certain things because you're your own witness. When you go with the paperwork, then yeah, we can carry it out, serve it, do what we gotta do.
Okay, and being an officer, is it hard to not get personal with certain incidents that you may come in contact with?
As an officer, you're supposed to not be biased. You're supposed to be biased. You're supposed to just see everything as one, right? But I tell you, one thing that I haven't had to deal with that I think probably would affect me is dealing with children. I know multiple people who had to deal with, seeing deceased kids and stuff like that. That would probably affect me a lot. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, everything is just everything. But I mean, I'm not saying that if I see a deceased child, right, and I see the killer right there, I'm gonna do something to the killer, because my job is to take that person to jail and let the court deal with him.
Okay.
But would it make me feel some kind of way? Probably.
Okay, I understand. Is there any incident that you would like to share with us that could be a lesson to someone else, a teachable moment you may have?
That I've been involved with, or just teaching one period?
Either or. Thinking about police
I'm-
brutality, thinking about Black Lives Matter, thinking about everything that's going on. Is there anything?
One thing I will say about the Black Lives Matter situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Black Lives Matter is legitimate? Yes. There's a legitimate cause out here that wants to speak to the injustice of black people.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's another set of black people who wants to use that platform to do legal things. You stop these guys and they screaming Black Lives Matter, this, that, and the third. And they only doing it because they're doing legal things. They see this as a way to get the police. They start shooting. They think the police are gonna back off them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that's a problem.
Okay, I definitely can see that. All right, Officer D, we have a caller. Okay, we're going to put them on air with us if that's okay with you.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much for calling RUM TV. You on air with Cortez, Chris, and Officer D. What's on your mind?
Well, good evening, Cortez, Chris, and Officer D. How are you?
Good evening, beauty. How are you?
I'm blessed. Thank you. Thank you for asking. I do have a question for your guest tonight.
You have a question for Officer D?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, we're listening, dear.
Good evening, Officer D. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, man?
I'm great, thank you. I would like to know, how long have you been an officer and what motivated you to do so?
Well, I've been in police for 16 years. And I had an uncle, actually, who was born in city folks for 20 years. And that's kind of the footsteps I follow in.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Oh, so I guess that was your motivation.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And also, if I may ask, what is one of your greatest challenges that you have faced on the street?
That's what I was like.
One of my greatest challenges?
Yes.
Being
an officer.
I worked, for the majority of my career, I actually worked domestic violence, and one of the biggest challenges has been getting females to go and file the necessary paperwork to separate themselves from the guys who abuse them or whatever like that.
Wow. So they don't want to listen.
It go back. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
I just knew she was gonna be like, "Hey, you wrote me that ticket last week."
Oh man. Did you have any more questions for Officer D?
Let me think. Have you ever worked? I would like to know, has he worked in any other district besides where he is now?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Officer D,
I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, well, that was it. That's all the questions I had. I was just a little, curious there, but that's it for tonight.
Well, thank you so much for calling, darling. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. You all have a blessed night. And Officer D, stay safe on the street.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling in. Officer D, I actually have a question for you.
You got a lot of questions.
I did. I came prepared this evening for this conversation.
He was happy.
So my question is...
Did he say for this confrontation?
Conversation.
Oh, I was about to say, wow.
No, I don't want no smoke. I don't want no smoke.
No smoke.
I'm not somebody who hates police. I have a few friends actually who are police officers. In fact, my uncle is a police officer, so and one of my best friends is a police officer as well. So I'm not somebody who hates police. But my question to you is, how do you feel about more people from, I guess, a certain area having jurisdiction over the area that they live in?
Well, that's a good question. I have I've worked in the area where I live, and it's kind of twofold because at one point, you're kind of always looking over your back. You know, it's like, oh, I wrote that person a ticket, but they live around the corner from me. Or, you know, I locked this person up, but they live across the street from me. I've done it for a couple of years, but it's each his own, you know. If you feel like you can deal with that kind of pressure, then it's cool. If you're one of the people who are like, no, I don't want to deal with that kind of pressure, that's fine. As long as you're not feeling that way because you're doing too much, right? So don't be one of these guys out here just fucking slapping people and shit and be like, oh yeah, I ain't got to worry about it because I live 2 counties over, you know.
Nah.
Don't be that guy. You know?
Why? Because they know where you sleep.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's actually kind of cool. I mean, and you get people that come up to you and they're like, oh yeah, well I got this question. And that's the only headache about it. You got people come and ask for a goddamn vehicle release because their goddamn car got towed, and you're like, I'm just going to the market. You know what I'm saying? Like, get out of here. You know. So,
but it's
twofold.
Well, do you think that they have a better opportunity to enter a situation with more understanding for not just the youth, but for the people that live in the neighborhoods and that are, you know, working through the trials and tribulations of our everyday life?
Let me tell you this. My views and opinions on this show is that of mine and not my department, right?
Amen.
Okay. And I have always said that your best police officers are the ones from the hood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do that.
So just the other day, right? Mm-hmm. I'm on a call and it's this little kid and he's like, I'm on a call. I'm in the store and he's at the register with his parents, but I'm on a call. And the people are talking to my partner. I'm looking at this kid, and he's like looking at me, mm-hmm. waving to me. Well, my department issued us these little junior badges, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in the middle of the car, I go to the car, I come back, and I pin this badge on the kid. And I say, "You the police now." His parents are like, "Wow!" They come out, they want to take pictures with him and all kinds of stuff. You understand? So, I say that to say, police officers don't necessarily have to live in their jurisdiction to have an understanding of who they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
They may have been there before and understand what they're dealing with, you know? If that makes sense.
I appreciate you sharing that story.
We have our producer, Mr. Wilbur. He want to ask a question, if that's okay, Officer D.
I don't have no answers.
I know you don't, Officer D. I know you don't. I'm so glad that you are here on RUM TV at Mix Station Radio. But what I want to say to you is that, that growing up, because I grew up on the east side of Baltimore, and most of the officers that knew us, that grew up with us, did not live in Baltimore. But they knew they knew my uncles, they knew my grandmother. They were so connected to us that if we did something, they would take us back to our houses. You know what I'm saying? So right. Even though they didn't live there, like you said, they were still connected to us. And it wasn't... Go ahead.
Look, even with me, the area that I work now, right? I'm from Baltimore.
Right.
The area that I work now, I lived a mile away from it. I mean, I remember coming to the area where I work now to eat Sunday dinner after church.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You know, so I mean, I get it. But I think a lot of people try to put this stigmatism more like police departments are going out and hiring people from other areas where there's a culture shock when they come down and to these different areas in Maryland and DC and all that kind of stuff. And it may be. I guess they just have to get acclimated. I don't know what the suggestion or what the resolution is to that.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. You know, this day show and I'm trying to take over, I guess. But I must say, because I was a correctional officer for 21 years and I retired from that. And one thing, well, thank you, sir. Thank you. It was a hard time. And
21 years, that means you did about 9.
Hello. Well, thank you so much. I guess I did do 9 years then, straight time. Hello. How about that? So the thing that I'm finding out, even with the officers now, because I deal with them in my second job where I'm at, the officers that I speak to, most of them are scared. Even the newer officers that are coming in after I did, they're so afraid and timid, because it's almost like in corrections, what it was is that they wanted to get more passive officers. So when they got more passive officers, then more things happen.
What are you scared of?
Well, they just scared to just being in the environment. That's about, and I think, say it again.
Why are they doing it?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, really quick, Ms. Wilbur.
Go ahead.
Those of you who's just logging in and watching RUM TV, we have Officer D, guys. We're asking him questions about police brutality, Black Lives Matter, just getting his viewpoints on a few things. Mr. Wilbur's asking him questions, those of you who do not know. So, yeah, we're going to continue. Go ahead, Ms. Wilbur.
Thank you so much.
You're
That's
welcome.
such a wonderful information briefing that
thank
you
you.
just did. Bless your heart. But the thing about it is that I'm finding out that most of the officers, when they make rash decisions, especially in the city, because they don't know the environment, they don't know the people, they, instead of getting to know who you're dealing with, it's just like this. When I was in the jail, we found out who was the person really running the jail, who was the people really doing, and we went to them so we had peace in the jail. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of the same thing that I think should happen on the street. Because what happened when I was growing up, they knew who the characters were, and they went to those characters so there wouldn't be, they knew that the guys were still doing what they was doing. That wasn't a secret. But the thing about it, it was one thing that was different than it is today. I come to find out that it was more respect when I was coming up for the officer than there is today. And so you're dealing with the disrespect of people that don't give a hoot about the officer. And they, like, if you come around, they don't move, they don't get off the corner, which I did when I was growing up. When the officer came around, we got off the corner.
Right.
That don't happen now.
So I'm looking at you, and I'm gonna say you retired in probably about the early 2000s.
No, it was well, I guess you could say that mid 2000s, yes.
Mid 2000s, like
2015.
2015?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, all right, I cut a couple years off you.
Yeah.
But you look at things when you came in.
Right.
You know what? You came in 95.
Yeah, 95, 96. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you look at how things was when you came in, the respect level.
Yes.
That it was for you when you came through that tier.
Yes.
You know, things have changed and evolved so much. There's no respect. And not
at all.
And let's take the officer out of it.
Yes.
I just talked to a guy earlier today, and we talked about how we should respect older people.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
I remember as a child. I was born in '83. I remember as a child walking past a church and saying, "Oh, I can't cuss as a church right there."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now they selling drugs in front of the church. Like it
ain't nothing.
People don't have respect no more.
Yes, sir.
So how can you expect the officer to try to go to somebody and have a conversation with them when they just want to disrespect them blatantly for no reason?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
You're so right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you do that. It's just the other day. Yesterday, I was on it was Wednesday. I'm on an accident. And I'm trying to help these people out, help them exchange information. Somebody ride past somebody, F the police, fuck the police. Well, goddamn, what did I do? I didn't do nothing. I'm just trying to share information. But one thing I did learn in the academy is they're not disrespecting me. They're disrespecting the patch and the badge because that's what they're mad at.
Right.
They don't know me as a person, you know?
But can I, if I may interject on that, I think a lot of that comes from what is being taught at home. And so to kind of open up Pandora's box when speaking on that, what would be your suggestion for a parent raising children of minority when dealing with police officers?
Well, one thing they need to stop doing is seeing me in the store and saying, "Hey, you see him? He gonna lock you up."
Don't sit. Yo, my God.
Stop doing that.
Oh my God, I'm gonna give you something on that.
Do you get that a lot?
Yes, don't do that. No, don't tell them that. You're putting fear in them.
That's right.
Of the police. No, we're here to help. Does the police have to do their job? and made somebody get hurt when they're doing their job, it happens. It happens. They're bad people out here. Don't tell them just because you see the police are going to lock you up. Don't use us as a fear tactic. No, you take them home and, hit the belt to them, not excessively, but whatever you got to do.
I can see that being a bad joke, but that's funny, though.
That is not good at all. They'll put fear in you real quick.
I like that Officer D is for putting a belt to the butt. And not one of those officers that's like, that's abuse.
That's abuse.
That's abuse.
That's all right. Beat him again.
That was a trip.
I'm not saying, like I said, my views are my views and not on my department. But if a child is acting up and you have to discipline a child, not excessively, but to let them know that you are the head of your household, I don't see the problem in it.
Amen.
Wow.
Amen. I'm with you on that one.
Now I can agree with you on that one.
I'm agree. My son is right here. He'll understand. We almost had a falling out at doing the show. How about that? So I'm a very studious, and also it starts at home. I think a lot that to respect the officers start at home. Mm-hmm. By me being an officer, I want my son to respect officers.
Right.
At all times.
Right.
That's where I'm at. So
that's good. Yeah. I respect that.
I can agree with that.
Amen. We know what you can. We know what you've been
oh
through.
gosh,
Officer
you know what
your father did.
If you don't mind me asking, I wanted to know in your district, do you guys do shop with a cop?
Yes, we do.
So what exactly
is
that?
Actually, we shop with a cop is normally you go around Christmas time. The kids their name are given to the department by the schools. And you normally have an officer that works in the schools who receives the names, bring it back to the department, and then whatever jurisdiction you're in, whatever city, county, or whatever, they normally give you money to get a gift card or whatever and take the kids out shopping. Mm-hmm. However, this last during the pandemic, this last time, December, we weren't able to. Let me tell you, I had two twins, and they both wanted bikes.
Oh man!
But my department. They gave us $200 a kid, right? I was able to get both of them bikes, and it was crazy because they asked for bikes, what you think is like very expensive, but then everything else is like crayons and pencils, and, miscellaneous stuff.
Yeah,
I was able to get them both their bikes and their crayons and their pencils and their puzzles, and then had to come out of pocket for nothing. And not saying that you always got, because normally the department to handle whatever extra, but in years previous, I've been in situations where I said, okay, I ain't gonna go to the department. I'll hand it out of my pocket.
Wow.
I was able to do it all, and it was good.
Wow. That's what's up, Officer D. Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So with the pandemic happening this year, what we did differently is we got a shopping list from the kids, went and got stuff, and then delivered it to their house.
Oh, I love it. Oh, wow. I love that so much. Did you guys, do you have to be in uniform for that?
Well, yeah, you gotta be in uniform for it. So shout out to Target, because that's who we use.
Okay, Target.
They shut off a whole 2 lanes for us, and so we can go buy the stuff and just come through the lanes, not have to worry about nobody else, whatever. And people just saw us out there like, what's going on? Why are these cops in here just shopping? Shopping for the kids, and it is what it is. Oh, wow. Y'all shopping on duty. It's what we paying for. Yeah.
So the cops, you guys travel together. You don't have to go by yourself. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Oh, that's cool. We did a whole convoy to Target. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm about to become an officer.
No, you stop lying.
If you could do that, I would do that. That sounds so fun.
Take it from somebody who actually applied to be a police officer. It's a lot more to it than that.
You applied?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Chris?
No, I did not.
Why?
Hold on.
Why you didn't get in?
Yeah, why you didn't get in? Officer D, Mr. Woodman, I want to know.
No, he yelled F the police in the physical.
You didn't pass the physical.
No, that's not true at all. That's not why.
I said I didn't say you ain't passed the physical. I said you yelled F the police in the physical. I just said
oh Lord, did you do that?
No, that's not what I did. No.
Why did you yell at the?
I
did not.
Oh, you didn't do it.
So.
Oh, okay.
I can tell you, I have a witness who watched me pass the physical.
Okay, so why didn't you go?
You didn't want to do it. You
skip Jack.
No,
you just said I don't want to do it no more. I'm done.
That's not why at all. No.
Personal reasons.
He ran that mile and a half, and he was like, "Fuck the police."
He probably did say that.
Let me tell you,
Look.
That part is actually a pretty difficult part of the test. I'm not gonna lie to you, but that is not why. That is not why I didn't do it. No.
Psychological? You couldn't pass it?
I say crazy.
It's probably partially
psychological, so you was a little off.
All right, since everybody,
you don't feel like you was really ready. Is that what it is?
So no, that's
Hold
not.
on.
No, that.
He said skipjack, so I ain't pressing it.
I am.
Pressing it.
We pressing it for you.
My honest to goodness reason, and Officer D can attest to this.
Because if we can't be raw, then we can't be real.
You have to.
No, I can't attest to it. I passed. I can't attest.
No. But no. You can attest to what I'm about to say.
To the facts.
So, I lied during my application process.
Okay.
And stated that.
You're done.
You done. After that, yeah, definitely.
It stated that
done.
I lied. So
you lied.
I came clean.
You came clean?
Right before,
so not the lie detector?
Right before I took my lie detector test, I came clean.
Wow. And, you was done then.
Yeah,
because that's like falsifying a report, baby.
That's not the explanation I got, but
that's what they didn't give you. But I'm just saying.
We could go with whatever y'all want to go with. That's why I didn't get it. Right?
No, I want to know.
We can talk about that after the show.
Okay. All right, I'll leave that. But wow, Chris, I really didn't know that. That's cool. That's what's up.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, at least you came clean before the lie detector test.
Look at Mr. Will.
That's a blessing.
Hey, go back and appeal it now. Say, man, I told y'all the truth, man.
Exactly. I'm the truth.
You know what? I would have made a good police officer, though.
I know you would have. You would have.
You would have. Yes,
you do ask a lot of questions, but you definitely would have.
Y'all play too much.
You've been a wonderful detective.
I think so too. Look, me and my homeboy, we would have been partners. Bad boys for life.
Oh Lord.
Yo, you crazy. All right, Officer D, I want to ask you one more thing, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. And before I ask, I just want to say thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. Again, guys, this is Officer D, who decided to come on RUM TV. Give him a round of applause. Again, guys, if you have any questions you want to ask Officer D, don't hesitate to comment down below. We can answer them after the show, okay? All right, Officer D, so you being an officer, first and foremost, do you have any children?
I got one.
You got one. Okay. Lord forbid, let's just say that she's being bullied over the internet, right?
Ooh.
And then you talk, you're an officer, so you talk to the parents, to try to get things squashed away. Come on, what's going on? Let's resolve this. But the parents don't do nothing further. It's just that one conversation you guys had, but their child is still targeting your child. What is your next move? And we're talking stuff like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to harm your family. Forget your father. Forget your mother. All that.
Block them.
Okay.
When you talk about internet bullying, it's so dumb because you can just block them.
Okay.
However, I did come across a story, I think yesterday, where a guy apparently child was being bullied by somebody in the neighborhood, and the parent took the child to the home, and some altercation happened, and he got killed.
That's actually, I believe, where she got this question from. We saw that too.
Yeah. So it's not like it was back in the day. When you go to the house and it's just like, hey, this is my child, whatever. Stay away from that. If it's over the internet, block them. If it's in school, the Board of Education has it set up where you can file paperwork. I forget what the form is called, but you can go file a form with the Board of Education, and the schools don't want that. They don't want it.
They don't want that.
So go file that form. You can Google it. The child bullying thing for the school. It'll come up. File a form with the Board of Education, and they got to move the child, or you got to come to a resolution or move the child. They don't want it. So that's the best. Look, there's no more. Let's go to the house and talk about nothing. Everything is all about paperwork. It's all paperwork. So even adults, if you feel like your neighbor is goddamn upstairs stomping on the ground, or your neighbor downstairs is goddamn poking holes in the ceiling because you stomped too loud or whatever, go file paperwork. It's all go file a peace order. Don't go knocking on nobody's door. I mean, it might be cool for one time and try to get a resolution, but nah, just go file paperwork. It's just the easiest way to go. Let the law handle it. Keep the law out of your hands and let the law handle it. Got you.
Wow, I like that advice. Chris, you want to add anything?
But no, what I want to add, Chris can hold fast.
Yes, sir.
But no, stop being headline chasers too, right? People, the media, right? The media wants views and stats and all this kind of stuff, how they get their money. Stop being headline. All the Black Lives Matter and police brutality, police killing people, look it up for yourself. I come across so many times people on social media posting, oh, the police did this, the police did that, you know. But when I go look the story up, oh, the police shot a guy, unarmed man, but he had a gun. Stop being headline chasers. You know what I'm saying? I can tell you right now, the police have shot more white people than they have shot black people. Right? Wow. But the media only broadcasts when it's a white cop shooting a black cop. I mean, shooting a black man. But when the black man shoots a white cop, you rarely hear about it. So stop being headline chasers. Go research your own stuff.
That's true.
Don't see somebody post and start sharing it and don't go research.
Researching.
I'm guilty.
Yeah, go look it up.
That's good.
Don't check my Instagram.
Yeah.
All right, Officer D, I want to thank you so much again for tuning in with us, for gracing us with your presence. It was an awesome, awesome, awesome show. Hopefully we can have you back.
Thank you so much for answering all my questions and putting up with me.
Yeah, and y'all, if y'all can't see, I mean, this man is so damn cool with his hat and his cigar, okay? Like, I mean, and he got his drink. You can't see that, but that's what's up, you know? But, Officer D, we're going to start selling some rum mugs, so let us know. We want you to pull up and listen up, okay? So if you want to support us, you want to buy a shirt, you want to get a mug, let us know, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's your girl Cortese and your boy Chris, and we over and out. Sorry. Peace.
Bye.
She's terrible. She just
Look, I really did.